What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got our Week 14 fantasy football running back starts and sits for every single matchup, so make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at alldaypigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Before getting into our breakdown, I want to highlight the sponsor of today's video, OddsJam. OddsJam continues to be the place that I use for all of my sports betting research, from the NFL, NBA, MLB, to daily fantasy and everything in between. But don't just take my word for it. Let me show you firsthand all the amazing tools OddsJam has to offer. Starting with their positive EV tool, which identifies situations where a single sportsbook has mispriced their line compared to the rest of the market. They're basically willing to pay a lot more so that you bet with them compared to the other sportsbook. At the end of the day, you're getting the best odds, essentially a mathematical edge and guaranteed money in the long run. But also available is OddsJam's arbitrage tool, which shows situations where the market is so mispriced that you can bet on both sides and guarantee a risk-free return. OddsJam's calculators show you exactly how much you have to bet on the over and under and what the respective guaranteed risk-free return would be. There's also OddsJam's Sportsbook tool, which consolidates all available market info, over 200 sportsbooks, and provides updates in real time and allows you to see line movement. But my personal favorite is their Fantasy Optimizer tool, which is great for those using PrizePicks, Underdogs, or other daily fantasy sites, as you get to see discrepancies between all of these sportsbooks. Imagine, PrizePicks has a Patrick Mahomes line at 200.5 passing yards, and all other books like FanDuel and Underdog have this line at 230 passing yards. Well, getting the over 200.5 on PrizePicks would be an absolute steal. Guess what? OddsJam does that for you. And the good news is, if you sign up today and use our code PIGSKIN, check the link and promo code in the description of this video, you will get 25% off your first month. OddsJam also has a 7-day free trial, so you get to try before you buy. So don't waste any more time and sign up for OddsJam using our code PIGSKIN today. Now, we kick off this week with the Patriots at the Steelers on Thursday. Here from the Patriots side of things, it's easy. Ezekiel Elliott is the start. Ramondre Stevenson, high ankle sprain. Gonna miss this week, I would say almost 100% sure. If not, the remainder of the fantasy football season as well. It's usually a multi-week injury. So in that absence, to me, Ezekiel Elliott is a startable running back. To me, he is going to be a low to mid-level running back too. I don't think he has quite the same upside as a Ramondre Stevenson, just because, his best days are behind him, but he's still a more than serviceable running back. And if he does see the touchdown success similar to Ramondre, that's what's going to be able to get him in that next category of, upper echelon running backs. For the Steelers, notice I only have one name here, Najee Harris. You might be saying, okay, it should be Jaylen Warren. He's looked better the majority of the season than Najee Harris. And while I don't disagree with you, it sure seems like the days of, the Steelers saying Jaylen Warren's our starting running back aren't holding true anymore, because last week, the week prior, Najee Harris was seeing more carries. And just based off of that, and when you factor in that the Steelers' offense is not a high-octane offense, one that struggles sustaining multiple fantasy-relevant running backs, wide receivers, etc., just putting up points in general, I'd rather bet on the guy that, is seeing more carries, just because that means more opportunities to actually do something with those carries. For that reason, Najee Harris is the guy that I would personally pick. Wouldn't shock me if Jaylen Warren ends up being the better start, but I don't think it's going to be by much for what it's worth. I think this is going to be an ugly game here, probably lower scoring. So one of these running backs for the Steelers is going to be okay. But either way, to me, Ezekiel Elliott is the better start than both of the Pittsburgh Steelers running backs. But for all those reasons, Jaylen Warren to me is a sit. Now, Texans at the Jets. I only have Breece Hall as a start, and the reason being is I think, similar to the last 2 weeks, it's all about PPR. He's going to catch between 5, 7, 8, balls during the game, and that's going to be enough for him to get close enough to double-digit numbers in PPR formats. If it's outside of PPR scoring formats, I am not starting Breece Hall or any, Jets running back. I mean, Dalvin Cook's the only other option, but I'm not starting Dalvin Cook. So that's the only way I see it with Breece Hall. To me, he is a low-end running back 2, probably running back 3. For the Texans, might be a little bit of a surprise. Dameon Pierce, a sit, along with Devin Singletary. Now, Dameon Pierce plays last week, sees the bulk of the carries, has a touchdown. But what worries me here is Devin Singletary isn't going away. And this Jets defense, it's a stingy unit, especially up front. And I think that, if you don't see the touchdown success that Dameon Pierce had last week, then it's a pretty lackluster performance. And I think that that's what we're going to see here. This Jets front is strong, so tough to get excited about the Texans rushing attack. Both these guys are sits. Afterwards, Rams at the Ravens. Kyren Williams has been an absolute stud ever since coming back from his injury. Hopefully, you guys traded for him or were patient with him during that process. So to me, he's not quite an RB1 this week because the Ravens, a great defense, and can really mess things up for opposing offenses. So Kyren Williams is more in the low-end running back 2 conversation for me. For the Ravens, Gus Edwards and Keaton Mitchell, I have both of them as sits. The last couple of weeks, Mitchell has been getting a little bit more and more carries, but I still think it's the Gus Edwards show. The problem with it being the Gus Edwards show is that unless he has 2 touchdowns a game, then it's not a lot to write home about, and you still got Lamar Jackson to contend with there, taking away rushing opportunities, Mitchell getting more opportunities. So, if it was a better matchup, I'd say, take a chance on one of these guys, but I don't love the situation. Both of them are healthy right now, so I have both as sits. Then Panthers at the Saints. I'll start Chuba Hubbard, coming off, one of his better games of the year. I wasn't sure what this Panthers offense would look like after the firing of pretty much every single offensive coach, but it's still the Chuba Hubbard show, and he's still getting the bulk of the carries. Now, I don't love this matchup, but, considering bye weeks, considering injuries, considering just other matchups in general, I'll roll the dice on Chuba Hubbard. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair for the Panthers, and, right now, seemingly the Panthers having abandoned Adam Thielen, their really only fantasy viable option. Now it's Chuba Hubbard's turn to try and carry this offense. Rushing attack, rushing attack, rushing attack. So to me, he's a low-end running back too. That's going to be touchdown dependent. For the Saints, Alvin Kamara is a smash play coming off a huge game last week. I think he can do it again. Panthers up front struggle, to put it mildly. So Alvin Kamara, great play. Miles Sanders is a sit. One of the bigger disappointments in fantasy this year. Then Colts at the Bengals. This one's pretty simple. You start Zach Moss, you start Joe Mixon. Jonathan Taylor probably out for the rest of the fantasy season. Joe Mixon, while he doesn't have, Joe Burrow under center, this Colts defense doesn't scare me. So I like the matchup. I think both can be high-end running back 2s. Then Bucks at the Falcons. You start Rachaad White. He's been great as of late, and again, I think that he's one of the focal points of this offense. So to me, he's a mid to high-end running back 2 for the Falcons. Bijan Robinson, he has obviously, been, in terms of talent, what we expected. It's more been the utilization here with the Falcons and how much opportunities they want to give him. But either way, because of what he can do talent-wise, you start Bijan Robinson every single week. I think he's in the high-end running back 2 category. Then Tyler Algier is a sit. Afterwards, Jags at the Browns. You start Travis Etienne. Now, yes, this is a little bit tough because Trevor Lawrence probably not going to play this week, but Etienne to me is still one of the focal points of this offense, so you start him. However, his upside not quite as big. I think he's a mid-level running back 2. Then maybe a bit of a surprise, but I have Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford as starts. I think both can do all right. I think both are going to see probably, between 10 and 15 carries in this game. The Jaguars without Trevor Lawrence, folks, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to affect this entire team. And I think the Browns, without their quarterback, are going to focus on their rushing attack. So that's my logic here, and I think both these guys can have opportunities. I have both of them in kind of that low-end running back 2 category. Then Lions at the Bears. I'm only looking at the Lions side of things. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, both can have successful outings here versus the Bears. I think both are high-end running back 2s. They've shown it before that they can both have success versus this team. For Chicago, I'm sitting all the rushers here, whether it's Roschon Johnson, who I don't have listed, but still, Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman. All these guys are healthy. Justin Fields is healthy, which means not enough carries for the running backs, not enough opportunities, touchdown variability, losing opportunities to Justin Fields. Translation, you sit the Chicago rushers. Then Seahawks at the 49ers. I'm only going with Christian McCaffrey here. Not too long ago, the two teams played, and it was an ugly situation. Yes, Kenneth Walker didn't suit up, but even if he returns this week, it's a tough team to do so versus he might not be 100%. Zach Charbonnet might be getting some more carries. If it's just Zach Charbonnet, I'd be more inclined to start him, but even then, I would temper the expectations for the Seattle rushers. However, it's looking like Kenneth Walker will play, so because of that reason, maybe if it was a better matchup, maybe if it was a week after return from injury, I'd start him. But since it's the situation we have right now, I'm sitting both of these guys for Seattle. Then Vikings at the Raiders. I'm starting Alexander Mattison and Josh Jacobs, respectively. I think Mattison, is the preferred running back over Chandler. Don't get me wrong, Chandler had that one nice outing when Mattison was injured, but then that's kind of it and forgotten about. So Mattison, to me, a good start, mid-level running back 2, Josh Jacobs, better option, low-end running back 1, and then Chandler, more so just a handcuff. Afterwards, Broncos at the Chargers. I'll start Javonte Williams. Chargers right now don't scare me too much. I think, he's still a low-end running back 2, but again, you could do worse. And then Austin Eckler, let's be honest about it. These last 2 weeks have been horrendous. He's really begging for this Chargers offense to get some more firepower back. Hopefully Josh Palmer returns. But again, because of the talents, similar to a guy like a Bijan, similar to a guy like a Saquon Barkley, you start Austin Eckler every single week. Might not be a top 3 running back play, but the upside is there for him to be a top 3 running back, so you play him. Then Bills at the Chiefs. Pretty simple. James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco. You start both of them. Pacheco's been on fire lately. One of the focal points of this offense, so you continue to roll with him. James Cook, I think, the preferred option for the Bills at running back. Sure, they've got Latavius Murray, but Cook has been getting it done. I think Murray is more so a handcuff, so we go with this approach. I think both these guys are mid-level running back 2s. Then Eagles at the Cowboys, DeAndre Swift and Tony Pollard, pretty easy. I've got Kenneth Walker as a sit, unless something happens with DeAndre Swift where, he doesn't play, then you go Kenneth Walker, but otherwise, I like both of these guys. I think that the Eagles want to refocus on the rushing attack. Tony Pollard's been pretty good as of late, so I think he can continue the trend. I think both these guys are high-end running back 2s on the week. Then Packers at the Giants. If he plays, I'll start Aaron Jones. If he doesn't, A.J. Dillon could be a solid play. If Aaron Jones returns, I'm sitting A.J. Dillon, kind of how we've treated the situation the entirety of the season, just because the Giants are a bad team, let's be honest about it. And then Saquon Barkley. Packers defense doesn't scare me too much. Giants offense terrifies me, but Saquon Barkley, just a high-octane guy you got to take a chance on. I think he's probably a high-end running back too, but either way, you start him. Then Titans at the Dolphins. I'm starting the Dolphins duo here, Raheem Mostert and then Achane. Achane, when he returned, he was actually the preferred option last week, so, it's looking like a good situation. I'll start both of them. I think Achane has the higher upside, but either way, you can't bench Mostert with how big of a focal point he's been in this offense and what he's produced so far. Then for the Titans, Derrick Henry might or might not play. He is in concussion protocol, so really curious there. And then Spears would be the backup, would be the next man up, but I'm scared of both these rushers. What worries me here, look, this ain't the matchup from last week, and the Dolphins are going to make you pass the football on them. So I don't think that the Titans are just going to be able to run the ball, and they're going to have to abandon the rushing attack, and that's what really worries me here game script-wise. So for that reason, I'm sitting both of the rushers for Tennessee. But with that, we wrap up our Week 14 fantasy football running back starts and sits for every single matchup. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at alldaypigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all, but in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.